Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Daya Koramore Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Daya Koramore Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagata samsare Toma Bina Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara Mosamapatita Prabhu Napaideara Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Balokana Koro Ami Boro Dukhi Doya Koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bale Pai Caitanya Nitai Tava Kripa Bale Pai Aha Swarupa Sanatana Rupa Raghuna Swarupa Sanatana Rupa Raghuna Bhatta Juga Sri Jiva Prabhu Lokanatha Bhatta Juga Sri Jiva Prabhu Lokanatha Doya Koro Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Doya Koro Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Dasa Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Dasa Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Doya Koramore Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Doya Koramore Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagata samsare Toma vina ke toyalu Jagata samsare Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Devagaura Hari Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. I'll let you read the translation for that yourself because we're very short on time today for Dhammarastikam. And so today we're reading from Sri Caitanya Caritamrita at Ilila, chapter 17, text 219. Is that Eta Shruni on the board? Eta Shruni Kajira Duri Chakshe Pade Pani Prabhura Charana Chunhi Bale Priyavani Eta Shruni Kajira Duri Chakshe Pade Pani Prabhura Charana Chuni Bale Priyavani Eta Shuni Kajira Dui Chakshe Padipani Prabhura Charana Chuni Bale Priyavani Eta Suni Kachira Dui Chakshe Pade Pani Prabhuda Charana Chuni Bale Priyavani Eta Suni Kachira Dui Chakshe Pade Pani Prabhuda Charana Chuni Bale Priyavani. Ladies? Ita Suni Kachir Dui Chakshe Pade Pani Prabhuda Charana Chuni Bale Priyavani Ita Suni Kachir Dui Chakshe Pade Pani Prabhuda Charana Chuni Bale Priyavani Eta. This. Shuni. Hearing. Kajira. Of the Kazi. Dui. Two. Thanks, bro. Chakshe. In the eyes. Pade. Flow down. Pani. Tears. Prabhuda. Of the Lord. Charana. Lotus feet. Chuni. Touching. Bale. Says. Priyavani. Pleasing words. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After the Kazi heard this, tears flowed down from his eyes. He immediately touched the lotus feet of the Lord and spoke the following sweet words. Doing some kirtan there. Bhag kirtan. Text 220. Tomara prasadi mora ghuchila komati e kripa kara yena tomate rahu bhakti. Only by your mercy have my bad intentions vanished. Kindly favor me, so that my devotion may always be fixed upon you. Is he stuck on his back? Huh? Is that right? All right, that's fine. Mercy is open to all. We read that, text 221. Prabhu kai ekadana magiye tomai sankirtana vada yoiche nahe nadiyaya. The Lord said, I wish to beg you for one favor in charity. You must pledge that this Sankirtan movement will not be checked, at least in the district of Nadia. Text 222. Kaji kahe mora vamshe yata upajibe tahake talake diva kirtana na badhibe. The Kazi said, to as many descendants as take birth in my dynasty, in the future I give this grave admonition. No one should check the Sankirtan movement. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As a result of this grave injunction by the Kazi, even at present, the descendants of the Kazi's family do not oppose the Sankirtan movement under any circumstances. Even during the great Hindu-Muslim riots in neighboring places, the descendants of the Kazi honestly preserved the assurance given by their forefather. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we're coming to the end of this the part of the Leela, where the Kazi has given the assurance that, let me just chant some prayers of invocation. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Param Ananda Madhavam Shri Caitanya Ishwaram. So in the Kazi is here giving his assurance that in the future none of his descendants will block the Sankirtan movement. So this is a very serious and heavy statement. You know, when one says, all right, I won't do this. For the rest of my life, I promise not to do this. Now that's a big statement. It's one says, for the rest of my life, I won't do anything. I won't disturb what you're doing for the rest of my life. But when one gives a statement that, you know, I hereby beseech all of my descendants from this day forward, while ever any of my descendants are here, they should also follow this order. So this is from the heart, you might say, a very heavy statement. So I've had the great fortune, though I'm unqualified, to spend some time in Sri Mayapur Dham, and I thought it might be nice to have show some images and talk a little bit about these holy places that you can visit to this day. The Samadhi of Chankazi and the House of Srivas Thakur, where the Sankirtan movement began and where this exact lila happened, where the mridanga was broken by the followers of the Kazi. So if everybody's in agreement, we can do that today, show some images of Mayapur. Is that okay? I have the blessings. Yes? Okay, thank you. All right. So Sri Mayapur Dham is in the eastern part of what's present-day India, but in fact, what we call India or Bharatvarsh extended way beyond that. In previous times, the national boundaries were only drawn up relatively recently in the last century, really, or in 2 centuries maximum. In my astrology studies, there's a Brahmin called Varaha Mihira, and he's a Persian Brahmana, so he was living right over here somewhere in Iran, and he was a Vedic astrologer. So he was following this culture, this Vedic culture. You can see of Pakistan, Afghanistan. I think, is this Iran? This one here? I didn't cut off, didn't make it big enough. But the Vedic culture extended over this entire area, right down. We know Malaysia, the Malaya Hills, where they would get the sandalwood from, and Singapore, to this day, is called the City of Lions, Singapore. So, and even in Bali, there's still so much of Vedic culture is there. So this whole area was Vedic culture, but in the common day, we call it India. And this place of Mayapur is in the eastern part of India, West Bengal. And this is a view from above. This is a view from a satellite image, I guess. And this is, you can see my little... Oh man, that's terrible. I do apologize that we don't have a large TV in our temple room. I think it would be good to have a large TV in the temple room so we could see these slides very much better. Okay, just a word from our sponsors, or a word to our sponsors. But I guess that just kind of looks like a patch of grass. And if you can see, this is the Ganga coming down here, right? Ganga's coming here, very fast, Bhagirathi Ganga. And then this is the Jalangi River coming in here, much slower, more of a local river. And where they join in here, this is... You can see that, right? Basically. And this is a close-up. This is the Jalangi, and this is the Ganga. And this is Sri Mayapur Dham, this whole area and extending up. You can see here, this is our ISKCON Mayapur Center in this area here. You can see the new temple, you can see it from above coming here. So when you drive from Calcutta, which is usually the way devotees go to Mayapur, you can catch a train and arrive at Navadvip and catch the boat across Ganga. But most devotees, especially now the roads are much better, they'll catch the road. This is the main road that heads out to Dabulia and further. This actually goes up to Shimla, up to the Himalayas. This is like a big main highway from Calcutta. So you turn off here. Everybody can see that okay? No? You turn left here, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Marg, and follow this. There's beautiful fields of mustard seeds, very bright yellow mustard seeds in season. And as you drive through, if it's in season for harvesting the, what's that called? The coriander seed, then you'll see that the villagers will come and they'll put it all over the road. And you think, why are they putting that? But as you then we look back, you'll see they'll take it, and so the cars are actually separating the coriander seeds from the bush. So all through here, there's so much beautiful fields and so many things being grown. And you actually drive past the Chankazi tomb at Bamanpukor and down here into Mayapur. It's about 4 to 5, maybe 6 hours, depending on the traffic from Calcutta. Well, it's only about 120 kilometres. I think nowadays it's a bit faster. Maybe it took us... How long did it take us last year? 4 hours? 3? I don't know. I think it was a bit more than that. But roads are much better now. So this is the ISKCON Mayapur Centre, which is close to that joining close to the Jalangi and Ganga. That you can see the Ganga here in the background. And this is a big new temple, huge. Like when I say big, it's like huge. It's like 100 and something meters high. Humongous temple. This is Prabhupada's Samadhi here. And these are the presiding deities of Sri Mayapur Dham, Sri Sri Radha Madhavashta Sakhi Vrinda Ki Jai. These deities of Radha Madhava came, I think, 83, 82. Is that right? Do you know? Does anybody know the date? Early 80s they came. 85. So, but they came before that, did they? They were in storage. So 85. And then I think first there were 4 Ashtasakis, and then a couple of years later the other 4 came. So they've been worshipped since the early 80s in Mayapur Dham. This is Panchatattva. I remember going to Mayapur in the mid-90s, and there were just these small Panchatattva. And they'd built this extension, but only the small deities, so it was this huge temple. You know, these tiny little deities at the front, but everybody knew the big deities were coming. And they were installed in, I think, 2004? Huh? Was it 2004, I think. Yeah, 2004, yeah. Because I remember going that year after that. So, and they're like 10 feet tall. They're like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. Yeah, amazing deities. Sri Panchatattva Bhagavan Ki Jai. And this is Lord Nrsingadev. So there were there's a whole deal. You could give whole classes and classes about the appearance of Lord Nrsingadev in Mayapur, but the short story is that the devotees were being attacked and tried to run off the land basically by different people in the area. And one devotee had a dream. Lord Nrsingadev came in his dream and said, come. If I come, then there'll be no more problems. So they asked for Lord Nrsingadev. They found the Stapati in South India, and at first the Stapati wasn't agreeable to make an Ugra Nrsinga deity. This is very, very rare actually, the Ugra Nrsinga deity, because he's in his. This is him. It's called Stamba Ugra Nrsinga. It's him actually coming out of the pillar. Right at that moment, he comes out of the pillar to protect Prahlad Maharaj and get rid of his demoniac father for once and for all. And so actually the Stapatis didn't agree, but then they finally agreed when it was explained it was for the new ISKCON temple and so forth. And the deity was just about finished, and then the shack where the deity was being made, like the grass above, caught fire, and the Stapati rang, "You better come and get him quick. I think he wants to." He's ready to go. So the devotees went, and so he was installed in I'm not sure what year, 80 sometime. Do you know? Mid 80s, yeah, sometime around there, 85, 86, like maybe 87. Okay, so they're the three presiding deities of ISKCON Mayapur Center, and it's a very massive campus now. It just began with one grass hut. Prabhupada asked Tamal Krishna Maharaj to go and get the land, and he went, and you can imagine if you've done anything in India. I mean, nowadays it's much more organized, but there's a lot of, very difficult to do things like imagine buying land for a Westerner. But somehow or another, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, after many efforts, he did get a small parcel of land, very narrow parcel that went from Bhakti Siddhanta Marg back, one very narrow piece of land. And that's the original land, and gradually the devotees have been able to purchase other land and develop the centre. So this is ISKCON Mayapur. Now, from here, if you go north from ISKCON Mayapur, you'll see after some time, not long, like I don't know what's the scale of this. It's maybe 2 kilometers, something like that, maybe less. you come to the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this birthplace was discovered by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and his son Srila Bhakti, he personally went door to door to beg money for this temple, to construct a temple at the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And is also a very core center of the Gaudiya Math as well, that established by his son, of course, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, and actually, when they were constructing this temple, when they were digging for the foundations, there was a deity of what's the name? What's the name of it was the household deity of Jagannath Mishra that they actually found at that place. Does anybody know? Adhokshaja Vishnu. Adhokshaja Vishnu deity that was described as the household deity of Jagannath Mishra, and they actually found that small deity at this place. So there's a further confirmation. But this is the actual place. There's a neem tree here. In this exact place, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. And these are the deities at this place, Yogapit of Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, the father and mother of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're non-different from Nanda and Yashoda, father of Krishna. And if we go from the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu up further, keep walking up the road, we get to Srivasangam, close by, not far. And this was the actual place where the Sankirtan movement began. This is the courtyard of Sri Vas Thakur, which is described in great detail in Chaitanya Bhagavat, but also in the Chaitanya Caritamrita as the beginning of the Sankirtan movement. And Lord Chaitanya would have his nocturnal kirtans. He would have kirtans during the night at the house of Srivas Thakur. And so, because many people were against the Sankirtan movement, and there wasn't just people of the followers of Muhammad who were against it, the propagation of the Hindu religion, but also many of the Hindus themselves, the Brahmanas, who sort of had a like monopoly, you might say, on religious rituals. That, if you wanted to have a ritual done, or you wanted to perform some spiritual activity, you had to go and pay the priest and so forth, and that was their livelihood. So they felt our livelihood is being, compromised. Our livelihood is being, taken over. How is it that people that were not Brahmanas are allowed to chant these holy mantras and so forth? So in the beginning, Lord Chaitanya, Nimai Pandit at the time, he was very private about these kirtans. He began it in the house of Srivas Thakur. And just with his followers, he would sing, and you can read many pastimes in the house of Srivas Thakur. One time, Srivas Thakur came to Lord Chaitanya and said, I'm worried that there's been a report that there's soldiers in the boat down at the Ganga and at the Jalangi, the river there at the Ghat. There's soldiers in boats, and I'm worried that they're going to come here and they're going to, harass us and possibly, lock us up, commit violence, whatever. And this was a rumor that had gone. Of course, there was always soldiers in boats and so forth here and there, but this day there was more. They were concerned. And Lord Chaitanya said to Srivas Thakur that if he comes, if that Muslim leader comes, he said, I will tell him, chant Hare Krishna and dance and chant in ecstasy and just roll on the ground and prema, love of God. And Srivas Thakur's kind of like, really? Can you do that? Are you going to do that? And Lord Chaitanya said, you're doubting me. You doubt me. All right. He said, okay. He said, bring your niece. And Srivas Thakur had a niece called Narayani. And who does anybody know who Narayani became or who's the mother of? Vrindavan Das Thakur, yeah, exactly, right. Who actually wrote the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So, very special personality, Narayani Devi. And she was just a young girl that time. And Lord Chaitanya said, Narayani, roll on the ground in ecstatic love of Krishna, cry in prema, pure devotional love for the Supreme Lord. And Narayani just immediately started just crying, all the symptoms of spiritual ecstasy, of tears coming from the eyes, and the body shaking, and hair standing on end, and the bumps on the body, goosebumps, and all of the extreme ecstatic symptoms became manifest, and she just became rolling around on the ground in pure Krishna prema, crying out for Krishna, like the residents of Vrindavan, like the gopis in Vrindavan. When Krishna had gone away, they were merged in this supreme ecstasy of Vipralamba Bhav, the separation from their beloved. Just on the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had that power. And so like this, Srivas Thakur was convinced. And actually Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he also at the house of Srivas Thakur, he exhibited the Mahaprakasha Leela, where he went and sat on the throne of Lord Vishnu. And of course nobody sits on the altar, and for most of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, he never accepted that he was the Lord. He's described in the Vedas as a Channa avatar, hidden avatar. And it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Shairat Hara Bhavalana Chaitanya avatar, Yuga Dhamma Nama Prema Kayala Pracha. So he had one external and one internal reason for his incarnation. And the internal reason was to understand what was the mood of Srimati Radharani. You might know the story that one time Rukmini Devi was there in Dwarka, and Krishna came back home after his duties for the day, and when she saw him, she started crying, and Krishna went inside, tried to pacify her, and said, "My dear Devi, why are you crying? I've just come home. It's very joyous. Wonderful that we're together again." And Rukmini Devi said, "The thing is that although you're here, but now I realize that you will go away, and that then my heart will be broken." So even though the devotee is with Krishna, but still they're feeling that separation, the imminent separation of being away from Krishna, separate from the Lord. And so Krishna was a little bewildered of what to do, how to pacify her. And she said, "The thing is, you are the Supreme Lord. You are the Purusha, the controller, the master of all energies, and you know everything." Right? Krishna says in Gita, "I know everyone, but me no one knows." So she said, "You know everything, but there's one thing that you don't know. One thing you don't understand. How much our hearts break for you. How much your devotees feel love for you." And she went on to say that only Radharani, she knows that. She understands that. Of course, this heartbreaking pastime of Krishna leaving Vraja, leaving Vrindavan, and never returning, externally never returning. And Radharani and all the gopis and all the residents of Vrindavan live their entire lives in the ecstasy of separation from Krishna, that they were spiritually with Krishna, but externally they weren't with Krishna. And this, our Six Goswamis explain that this is the highest level of Krishna consciousness, because even though Krishna might be there with them, then during the day he goes to out with the cowherd boys, and so different times he's coming and going. But when he left and they were in such separation, they were seeing him everywhere. They were seeing Krishna everywhere. In their ecstatic trance, their spiritual trance, they were seeing Krishna everywhere, all the time, 24/7. So this separation from Krishna is the topmost. When Lord Chaitanya was speaking to Ramananda Roy, he said to Ramananda Roy, please explain what is the perfection. And he began with following Varnashram and all these different things and going right up to Vaikuntha and then finally the Braja Leela, the mood of the residence of Vrindavan. And then ultimately the highest expression of love of God is that mood of the residence of Vrindavan, especially the Mahabhav of Srimati Radharani in separation from Krishna. And this is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to experience. Shri Radhara Bhava Lana Chaitanya Avatar. He came to experience this extreme spiritual attachment and affection of Srimati Radharani. That was his internal mood. And his external mood, Yugadama Nama Prema Kaila Pracha. His external mood was to establish the Sankirtan movement. He wanted to establish the Sankirtan movement. And to do that, he didn't come as the Lord. You know, with Krishna, he came as the Lord. He showed his universal form. As Lord Ram, he came as the Lord and killed the universal demon Ravana. But as Lord Chaitanya, his mission was Yugadama Nama Prema Kailapacha. So he came in the mood of a devotee, a very wonderful mixing of these two moods, that he came in the mood of a devotee and also simultaneously experienced the separation from Krishna by calling out to Krishna, by crying out to Krishna and performing kirtan and teaching us how to do the same thing. That we can attain the perfection by calling out to Krishna through his name, calling on the Lord through his name. And so therefore he didn't take the mood as the Lord, he took the mood as the Lord's devotee. And this is the exception when the Mahaprakash Leela was there, that he took the form of the Lord and he offered blessings to everyone. He offered blessings as Lord Ram to Murari Gupta, as in the mood of Hanuman. He reciprocated with all the devotees in whatever their mood they approached, just like we're discussing on Thursday here. Ye tamam prapadyante tam sateva bhajamiham. The Lord reciprocates with the devotees. He's the Purusha. Whenever someone's in the Purusha position, we need to remember that actually the mood is set by the Prakriti. The mood is set by the person that we're caring for, not ourselves. So we can see Krishna in the Mahaprakash Leela, he has the ability to interact and manifest any form of Godhead. And what the form does he manifest? He manifests the form that the devotee is asking for. The devotee wants to reciprocate in that way, then he reciprocates in that way. Yeyatamam prapadyante. So like this, many wonderful pastimes happened at Srivas Thakur's house. And these are the deities we can see, Panchatattva of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivas, here at Srivasangam. And so if we go a bit further up the road, I'll just go back to the map. So Srivasangam is quite close. And actually just here also further up is Advaita Bhavan, one of the houses of Advaita Acharya. He also had a place at Shantipur where he would have the association with Haridas Thakur, and he also had a place here at Mayapur. And you can see it's quite a way. There's a Sri Chaitanya, the Chaitanya Math here. This was the headquarters for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's movement. It's a wonderful temple. There's a miniature Govardhana hill and so many things. Like we're doing here, we have Govardhana Hill and all the Radhakund and places here. So like that, they've done the same thing here. So this is following in the footsteps of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati that we're doing here. But if you go fair way, up here, it's a few kilometers up, you come to a place called Bamanpukur. Bamanpukur. In Bengali, of course, it's Vamanapukur originally. And here you'll see the Chankazi Samadhi. And this place to this day, if you go there, you'll notice that it's a place where Mohammedans, followers of Muhammad, live. Many of them here. You'll notice the change, and many Muslim people are here at this place, Bamanpukur, and to this day still. And you'll see here the Chankazi Samadhi. I've got another picture. That's the only one I have. This is a close-up. There's actually a neem tree and a champak tree, otherwise known as a frangipani, mate. Sorry about that. It's frangipani tree and a neem tree, and they're actually grown together. And this is said to represent the Lord Chaitanya is the neem tree, Nimai, and the golden champak or frangipani tree represents, and it's huge as you can see, but they're fully grown together. And they're actually from the time of Chankazi himself. So his samadhi is here, still worshipped to this day by followers of Lord Chaitanya, because he gave that instruction that the Sankirtan movement should not be disturbed. And this is the final picture I have here, which is a beautiful image that one of the ISKCON artists have drawn of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talking to the Chankazi and explaining things, talking, as we've just been hearing for the last probably 4 or 6 weeks this past time. And it's wonderful that we can see, within India there's always been a tradition of religion or spirituality being spread through ideas, not necessarily through conquest as much as in other places it has happened. And we can see Buddhism, that spread from India out through all the rest of Asia through the conquest of ideas. But even the Chankazi accepted in this pastime, as we've said, as we've been hearing about, that the bhakti scriptures give a more developed understanding of who is the Supreme Lord. There's genuine devotional scriptures are given in the Islamic tradition, in the Judaism and Christian traditions, but the detail about who is the Lord, what his character, what his qualities are, what is he, and even we were saying as well yesterday that in Vaishnavism, in Bhakti, we're taught that the Lord has masculine and feminine, Radha Krishna, the masculine and the feminine, both together. So all these details about who is God actually is given in this tradition, and the Kazi acknowledged that and said that, as we were reading a few weeks ago, that the meat eaters' religions have, sort of like there's a general idea about God, and there's some philosophical defects as far as the nature of the soul and things like that, due to people, wanting to commit sinful activity and worship the Lord at the same time. So the philosophy becomes a little bit skewed. But the philosophy given in the Bhakti Shastras is just very, very clear. There's soul, there's a body. We're eternal, the body's temporary. We're meant to love the Lord, that's our position. Is there any question or comments before we finish? Yep. Manibandhabri? Dr. Mike is on his way.
Thanks for your class. It was interesting that Chankazi gave that statement that myself and my descendants aren't going to harass the Sankirtan movement, but Prabhupada mentions in one purport, and I've actually researched it also, that Nawab's son Noah Ratsak something, I can't remember his exact name. He was a complete tyrant. He was so bad, even his own people didn't like him. He was eventually killed by his own servant when he was praying in a mosque, come behind him with a knife. And so we hear the statement that the Sankirtan movement wasn't a ras, but we had a complete tyrant in charge. So maybe he did honour his father's words.
Was he a son of Chandkazi?
He was the son, yeah.
Oh, he was the direct son.
He took over the position after the Chandkazi left his body.
Because usually the Nawab is like a much bigger position, but like the Nawab Hussain Shah, he was like the head of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But he was more like a local magistrate, Chandkazi. But he was his son, was he? Yeah. So it didn't take long, for the son to... But anyway, looks like he was dealt with, and maybe his son did better in following his father's orders. Interesting. It's a pretty brutal history of the human race. I always say that people, if you're looking at your chart, from like last 100 lifetimes, and just read history, and we were all in there doing something or other. So it's not amazing that we're kind of suffering a bit in this lifetime, because, Of
course, the Chandkazi himself, he got that position because he assassinated his boss and took his position. So it was pretty ruthless.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Anyway, if he makes that statement, he doesn't going to harass, that's like to his benefit.
Yeah, exactly. And even to this day, like, although, some followed, some didn't, but still there's that idea, even among the Muslims in that area, you still see they maintain that tomb. They could have said, this guy, he went against us, he's trying to support the Hindu, but they don't. Mostly they respect it, so it's amazing. And that we can still go to his tomb and see it. And it's, as I said, it's right in the middle of a Muslim village. It's just like all the stuff that the Muslims have everywhere. Yeah. Well, I won't say, but yeah. Anything else? Any other comments or question? Yes.
Sorry, you mentioned that Chaitanya's headquarters, the last one you mentioned.
Yeah.
With all the replicas.
Yeah.
My understanding also, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's samadhi's there also. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
It's the most extraordinary place to visit.
It is. That's right. It's quite large. It's quite a big campus.
Amazing.
But
it's very potent.
It's little Radha Kund and everything that Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj established there. Yeah, his samadhi is there too. Yeah, that was his main centre, and they established his samadhi there. Anything else? Yes, Jai.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was quite controversial because it was such a big change in Hindu or Vaishnava culture. People loudly chanting the congregational names of the Lord, and there was a huge amount of resistance against that.
Yeah.
And a lot of violence actually against Vaishnavas because of that. But Lord Chaitanya was fearless, and that's why he began that civil disobedience to establish the Yuga Dharma. So it was not easy going for those devotees initially. As we say, it was quite controversial, that type of activity. They thought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was crazy.
Yeah.
They were saying, what is he eating? Wailing in the night.
They thought, they went to Mother Sachi and said, something wrong, you have to give him some oil to cool his head. And he went to Srivas Thakur and he said, they're all telling me I'm crazy, they say I'm mad, can you tell me what's wrong with me, am I mad? And he said, yes, you're crazy, you're completely mad, and I also want the same madness that you have, because it's madness of love of Godhead, it's transcendental madness. But that's right. And you see, it's really the arrangement of the Lord, isn't it? I mean, that we can relate to it, only 500 years ago, but it's also being established in a culture that was against it. The Islamic culture wasn't for pure bhakti and Sankirtan movement and everything. So we can see how Lord Chaitanya did it, and when he was strong and when he just kept it inside and all those kind of things. So, Also? He did it also. Yes, yes. Yeah, and we're still here doing it in this crazy culture. But yeah, Prabhupada, I mean, Srila Prabhupada is like described as like I think Sridhar says like when the bulldozer goes through the rainforest or whatever, or maybe that's not a good example, environmentalist, but you know, some big, then everybody else can follow. Actually, I think it's Sridhar Maharaj or one of his godbrothers said like that he made the road and then we're all traversing it. Even his own godbrother said like that. So, yeah, inconceivable determination. You know, obviously, we read Srila Prabhupada's pastimes when he first went to America and so forth, and how he dealt with these things. And he was reading Caitanya Caritamrita on the boat over. That's all he had. That's what he had. He had his books, but he was reading. He said he was getting solace from the nectarine of Sri Caitanya Caritamrita. So, yeah, the depth of Srila Prabhupada's realization of the mission and what it was is what, you know, that's what set him apart. There was one devotee, I think it was actually Advaita Bhavan, the devotee at Advaita Bhavan who saw him for many years coming just as a householder, and then he finally saw him coming as a sannyasi, and he, I think it was him who later commented just that that his intensity of chanting was what carried. There's also another pastime on that regard where, I don't know why they're so late with the bell, no ringing, so I'll just keep talking, but just quickly, there was a pastime where Prabhupada was taking sannyas, and there was his guru, Bhakti Pragya Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and some others were he was giving sannyas. And there were some brahmanas there to chant the mantras, to sort of sit and chant Vedic mantras. And there's also Prabhupada's godbrother, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Babaji. Srila Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj was there. And he was chanting Hare Krishna, just doing Maha Mantra on the side. You all heard this story, right? Yeah. And so at one point, some of the Brahmins who were chanting the mantras sort of said, "Oh, keep it down. We're trying to chant the mantras." Told Krishnadas Babaji to kind of chant a bit softer. And while nobody else was kind of looking, Prabhupada, who was in the ceremony taking sannyas, turned to him and said, "Oh, don't worry, do it louder. Chant kirtan. This is the real thing." And he commented later that he could understand that he had that, you know, full faith that it was the holy name that could change anything. It wasn't any kind of rituals or anything. And other godbrothers have said that he had that faith in, you know, many understood that statement where Priti Vidyachayate Nagaradigram Sarvacharpachar Vaive Moranam, when Lord Chaitanya said that my name will be said in every town and village, they sort of said, oh, maybe every town and village of Bengal, or maybe every town and village of India, or something like that. But Srila Prabhupada had that faith. No, he's talking about the whole world. Sarva Trapachari, he's talking about the whole world. And Prabhupada had that faith that it would spread. He would go. And so it's how he established ISKCON, wasn't it? On his faith and his determination. So you see how Mukunda Maharaj came and so many others came to Prabhupada. And, yeah. Anything else? Thank you for... Yeah?
Just one more thing.
Yes.
Prabhupada talks about if you're not getting favourable response in one place, you go to another. So Prabhupada was talking about the smartas in Navadvip were quite opposed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he didn't manifest so much there in Navadvip. But when he went to South India, he just opened the door of love of God and preached dynamically everywhere.
Yeah, that's why he took sannyas, right? Because the students were not respecting him and so, it's all there, isn't it? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, the whole movement is there. Obviously, he's the founder of the movement. So everything he did you can understand. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Go Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.